The orbital academy floated silently above Earth, a gleaming structure of metal and glass reflecting the sun's rays. It was humanity's pride, where the best cadets from every planet trained to become elite pilots and commanders. The academy's motto, engraved on the main gate, read, "Humanity first, always forward." Inside, cadets hustled through corridors, their boots echoing against polished floors, each carrying the weight of their own dreams and expectations. Among them, a young cadet named Aaron Vale adjusted the straps of his flight suit. He was smaller than most of his classmates, with brown hair that fell into his eyes, and a quiet determination that set him apart. Many overlooked him because of his size, but Aaron had a sharp mind, keen instincts, and a belief in something the Academy rarely talked about: human potential. Today was different. Today was the day of the zero-fail simulation, the most notorious test in the Academy's history. No cadet had ever passed it. The simulation was a combination of tactical combat, critical decision-making, and survival under impossible conditions. The instructors called it a test, but the cadets knew the truth. It was designed to push every human to their limits and beyond. Commander Lyra Soren, the lead instructor, stood at the front of the simulation hall. She was tall, with piercing gray eyes that seemed to look straight through a person's soul. Her reputation was legendary. Cadets whispered about her in the dormitories, calling her the shadow who never misses. A name earned not just for her strict discipline but for her uncanny ability to predict a cadet's mistakes before they even happened. Lyra's gaze swept the room, making several cadets shift nervously. "Cadets," she said, her voice firm and controlled, "today you will face the zero-fail simulation. Let me be clear, no one passes this test. If you fail, it will mark your record and follow you for life. Remember, in space, hesitation is death. Precision is survival. Your choices are your responsibility." A murmur ran through the room. Some cadets tried to hide their fear. Others stared at Lyra in silent defiance. Aaron felt a flutter in his chest, but also a spark of excitement. He had trained for this moment, studied past simulations, and learned to observe patterns even when others panicked. He had a plan, but he knew that in this test, plans often fell apart. The simulation hall itself was enormous. Holographic projectors lined the walls, ready to create anything the AI instructors could imagine. Asteroid fields, hostile drones, electrical storms, even sudden system failures. The floor beneath the cadets' feet hummed with energy, and the air smelled faintly metallic. It was the perfect environment to separate the best from the rest. As the cadets took their positions, Aaron's eyes scanned the hall. He noticed the tension in their shoulders, the nervous tapping of boots, the shallow breaths of those afraid to fail. Some cadets were overly confident, thinking their past performance would carry them through. Others were paralyzed by fear. Aaron felt a strange calm. He knew humans could do more than machines predicted. Humans could think creatively, adapt instantly, and even trust each other in moments of chaos. "Cadets, enter your ships," Lyra commanded. "Simulation begins in 3, 2, 1. The floor shifted slightly, and a section of the hall transformed. Individual pods opened, each containing a sleek training ship equipped with thrusters, energy shields, and advanced AI assistance. The pods were small but agile, designed for maneuverability and speed. Aaron slid into his ship and strapped himself in. Feeling the familiar hum of the engines, his heart beat faster not from fear, but from anticipation. The simulation started instantly. Holographic enemy drones appeared, swarming in coordinated patterns designed to confuse and overwhelm. Some cadets tried to fire immediately, but the drones were too fast. Ships collided, shields failed, and alarms blared. Panic spread like wildfire. Aaron stayed calm. He observed the drones carefully, noting small gaps in their movements that the AI had overlooked. Slowly, he maneuvered his ship through these openings, dodging attacks with precise, calculated moves. He noticed other cadets struggling, some frozen in fear, others crashing into walls or each other. He made a split-second decision. He would help them. "Follow me," he called over the comms, his voice steady. A few hesitant cadets responded, trusting him despite never having worked together before. Aaron led them through the swarm, using their combined movements to create openings, saving them from collisions, and teaching them to anticipate the drone's next moves. From the observation deck above, Lyra watched. Her expression remained unreadable, but her gray eyes narrowed. She had trained hundreds of cadets, and none had ever approached the zero-fail simulation with such precision. One cadet, this one, was different, not just surviving, but guiding others. Not just reacting, but thinking ahead. The drones began to shift patterns, introducing unexpected obstacles. Sudden bursts of energy, temporary gravity shifts, and phantom walls that forced cadets to navigate in 3 dimensions. Most panicked immediately. Ships spun out of control, some even colliding with the simulated walls. Aaron's mind worked quickly. He adjusted his ship, calculated new trajectories, and communicated instructions to the other cadets. They followed him, relying on both his instincts and their own courage. Slowly, the group moved forward, navigating through the chaos with a rare combination of skill and trust. Lyra's lips pressed into a thin line. She had believed in order, control, and discipline above all else. She had expected fear, failure, and defeat. But here, in front of her eyes, a small human was achieving something no one thought possible. He was proving what she had rarely admitted aloud. Humans had potential that machines and rules could not fully predict. The simulation continued to intensify. Aaron felt the heat of the moment, the adrenaline, the pressure. Yet he also felt something else, an exhilarating sense of possibility. For the first time, he realized that this test was not just about survival, it was about showing what humans could achieve when they trusted themselves and each other. Lyra finally spoke over the hall's intercom. "Cadets, you are not only being tested for skill but for your ability to adapt, to lead, and to survive under impossible conditions. Many of you will fail. Some of you may surprise even yourselves. Remember, no cadet has ever passed this test. Failure is not just expected, it is guaranteed." Aaron clenched his fists, determination burning in his chest. Failure was not in his plans. Humans had limits, yes, but they also had ingenuity, courage, and resilience. Today, he would prove that. Today, he would show that even in a test designed for failure, a human could rise above. The first wave of drones closed in, glowing red and moving with lethal precision. Aaron took a deep breath, tightened his grip on the controls, and prepared to lead his small group into the heart of the simulation, where danger and possibility collided. The zero-fail simulation had begun, and for the first time, there was a glimmer of hope. The zero-fail simulation was relentless. The holographic drones moved with precision, swarming cadets from every direction. Red warning lights flashed across the simulation hall as alarms blared, echoing in the metallic corridors. Many cadets panicked immediately, their fingers fumbling over the controls, their hearts racing. Aaron Vale's ship glided smoothly through the chaos. His eyes scanned the patterns of the drones. They moved fast, but their movements had a rhythm, a subtle predictability that most cadets could not see. Aaron's mind worked like a machine, calculating angles, speeds, and escape routes. But unlike a machine, he also relied on instinct and intuition. He noticed a cadet struggling nearby. Her ship spun dangerously, caught in a swarm of drones. Without hesitation, Aaron altered his course and swooped close. "Pull left and tilt down," he instructed over the comms. "I've got your 6. Ah." The cadet followed his instructions, narrowly avoiding a collision. Relief flashed across her face as she steadied her ship. Others began to notice Aaron, hesitant at first, then inspired by his calm precision. Slowly, a small group of cadets started following his lead, moving as a coordinated unit rather than individuals fighting alone. Lyra Soren watched from the observation deck. Her gray eyes narrowed, and for the first time, a hint of curiosity appeared in her expression. She had trained countless cadets, and all had failed in this simulation. Most had fallen into panic or overconfidence. But Irene, he was different. He was doing what no cadet had done, staying calm, making quick decisions, and helping others survive. The simulation shifted suddenly. A field of floating energy barriers appeared, forcing the cadets to navigate in 3 dimensions. Some ships collided with the barriers, sparks flying, others froze, unsure of how to proceed. Aaron adjusted his course smoothly, weaving through the barriers with precision. "Follow me," he called again, his voice steady. Cadets who trusted him moved in formation, relying on his guidance. Even the cadets who had been panicking found themselves able to keep up. Aaron realized that leadership was not about authority, it was about clarity and confidence. By showing them the way, he gave them courage. Suddenly, the AI increased the difficulty. A storm of simulated meteors appeared, each glowing with a faint orange light. They moved unpredictably, some small and fast, others large and slow. Many cadets screamed in alarm, trying to dodge the meteors, their ships shaking violently from near misses. Aaron's hands flew over the controls, guiding his ship and the others. "Stay calm. Predict their paths. Use the gaps." His voice remained calm. Even as his ship rocked from a close call, he calculated trajectories, taking into account the speed and size of each meteor. Using quick maneuvers, he led his small group through the storm with minimal collisions. A cadet named Jara, who had been near panic, shouted in amazement. "How are you doing this?" Aaron smiled briefly over the comms. "Think ahead. Don't react too fast. Watch patterns. Humans can see things machines can't predict." The group started to work as a unit. One cadet would create a diversion. Another would guide a trapped cadet, while Aaron orchestrated the overall path. They moved like a team, human intuition blending with careful calculation. The AI attempted to adapt, introducing sudden obstacles, electrical surges, invisible barriers, and false targets designed to confuse them. But humans had creativity. Irene noticed that some of the false targets repeated patterns. By studying them quickly, he led his group to avoid wasted effort, saving precious seconds. Other cadets, inspired by his calm, began to anticipate the AI's tricks themselves. Small victories added to their confidence, and the panic that had dominated the first minutes of the simulation began to fade. Lyra leaned forward, her expression tightening. She had never seen cadets handle the AI's traps with such efficiency. Her mind raced. Was this one cadet enough to break the record? Could humans truly surpass a test designed to be unbeatable? She had doubts, but a spark of something unusual respect stirred within her. As the storm of meteors passed, another challenge appeared. A series of narrow tunnels, barely wide enough for the ships, stretched ahead. They twisted and turned, with walls that could appear or disappear at random. Many cadets hesitated, unsure which path to take. Aaron studied the tunnels carefully. He noticed subtle visual cues in the wall's surfaces, slight differences in reflection, color, and movement that indicated the tunnel's changes. "Follow me. Trust the cues," he shouted. His ship darted into the correct tunnel, spinning sharply to avoid a sudden wall that had appeared. One by one, the other cadets followed, their trust in him growing with each successful maneuver. Halfway through the tunnel, Aaron realized the AI would escalate again. He took a deep breath, reminding himself that humans had one advantage. Machines did not. Unpredictability. By thinking creatively, he could outsmart the simulation itself. He began coordinating maneuvers that no algorithm could predict, guiding cadets into paths that seemed impossible. They moved with precision, narrowly avoiding walls and obstacles, proving that human ingenuity could match, and even surpass, artificial calculation. By the time they emerged from the tunnels, the cadets were exhausted but exhilarated. Sweat glistened on their foreheads inside the helmets, and their hands shook from adrenaline. Yet they had survived. They had not just survived, they had done so as a team, led by one cadet whose calm thinking had inspired them all. Lyra's voice broke the silence over the intercom. "Cadets, Your performance is unusual. Most of you should have failed by now. But I see cooperation, skill, and strategy. I will be watching closely. Do not think this means victory. The simulation has only begun." Aaron nodded, feeling a mixture of pride and caution. He knew this was just the beginning. The AI could adapt further, introduce new challenges, or even manipulate the environment in ways he could not predict. But one thing was clear. Humans had an edge that machines could not account for. Creativity, trust, and courage were tools no algorithm could replicate. As the cadets prepared for the next wave, Irene felt a spark of excitement. For the first time, he believed that humans could not only survive the zero-fail simulation, but perhaps even master it. He adjusted his controls, checked the status of the other cadets, and prepared for the next challenge. The simulation hall pulsed with light and energy. Drones, obstacles, and surprises awaited them, each more difficult than the last. But Aaron's calm presence, combined with human ingenuity, gave the cadets a sense of hope. Perhaps, for the first time in history, a human could pass the test no one else had ever passed. And with that thought, Irene steered his ship into the next wave of chaos, ready to prove that humans could achieve what machines and even the harshest instructors believed was impossible. The zero-fail simulation had become more dangerous than ever. The holographic drones were faster, smarter, and more aggressive. Sudden energy surges shook the simulation hall, causing cadets' ships to spin uncontrollably. Alarms blared in every corner, flashing red and yellow, warning of imminent collisions. Most cadets were panicking, their voices trembling over the comms as they tried to communicate, often speaking over one another. Aaron Vale, however, remained calm. His hands moved confidently over the controls, adjusting thrust, angle, and shield output with precise timing. He had studied every possible scenario in simulations before, but the AI now introduced unexpected changes that even the best calculations could not predict. That was exactly what Aaron had hoped for. Humans could improvise. Humans could adapt. Machines could only follow rules. He glanced at the other cadets following him. Some were exhausted, pale with fear, and shaking from adrenaline. One cadet's ship emitted sparks from a near collision with a meteor simulation. Aaron knew he had to act quickly. "Keep formation," he called. "Use the gaps. Trust your instincts." His voice carried over the chaos, firm but encouraging. Slowly, the cadets adjusted, listening to him. They began to act not just reactively but strategically, moving as a coordinated group rather than isolated individuals. Aaron noticed how their confidence grew with every successful maneuver. Then the AI introduced something new. A storm of false targets. Holographic ships, indistinguishable from the real drones, swarmed the cadets. Some cadets fired instinctively, wasting energy and leaving themselves vulnerable. Aaron's ship weaved through the swarm, ignoring the decoys and studying their movement. "Do not fire at every target," he instructed calmly. "Observe first, then act." It was a small lesson, but it worked. Cadets began to differentiate between real threats and illusions, avoiding unnecessary collisions and conserving their shields. The group moved forward, stronger and more confident than before. Lyra Soren watched from the observation deck. Her gray eyes, usually cold and unreadable, were wide with a mixture of surprise and intrigue. "This cadet," she muttered to herself. "He's doing what no one has ever done. Not only is he surviving, he's teaching others to survive with him." The simulation escalated further. A dense asteroid field materialized, each asteroid spinning unpredictably. Some were small, easy to avoid, but others were massive and capable of destroying a ship instantly. Most cadets froze, unsure of which paths to take. The panic was contagious. Aaron took a deep breath and analyzed the field. He spotted a path others had overlooked, a narrow, twisting corridor between two large asteroids. The trajectory was risky, but with careful timing, it could work. "Follow me, stay close," he shouted. One by one, cadets maneuvered their ships through the narrow corridor. Some were hesitant, some trembled, but they trusted Aaron. He led with confidence, adjusting his course for minor changes, ensuring no one collided. By the time they cleared the asteroid field, several cadets were breathing heavily, their faces pale but their eyes bright with determination. This is impossible, whispered one cadet, almost in disbelief. How are we still alive? Aaron smiled slightly, glancing at the group. We're not just surviving. We're thinking, watching, and trusting each other. That's what humans can do. The AI sensed the cadets' progress and escalated again. The simulation hall shifted gravity unpredictably, tilting and spinning sections of the arena. Holographic barriers appeared suddenly, forcing the cadets to constantly adjust. Drones attacked from angles that should have been impossible. Many cadets were thrown off course, some colliding with walls or spinning into empty space. Aaron gritted his teeth. This was the ultimate test of human ingenuity. Stay focused. Watch the cues. Don't panic, he shouted. His voice was calm, steady, like an anchor in a storm. He noticed small patterns, slight delays in the drone's movements, faint glows in the barriers indicating where they would shift, subtle vibrations in the control panels hinting at gravitational changes. The AI could predict typical human reactions, but it could not anticipate a cadet thinking differently, observing carefully, and trusting his instincts. Aaron, how are you seeing this? Jara asked over the comms, her voice filled with awe. Humans notice what machines cannot, he replied simply. Stay calm and look for patterns. Trust yourselves and trust each other. The cadets began to move as one unit again, each anticipating the other's actions. If one faltered, another adjusted. If one hesitated, another provided guidance. Aaron realized that leadership was more than giving instructions. It was creating trust, encouraging intuition, and inspiring confidence even in fear. The final challenge of this wave appeared. A massive holographic drone, far larger and faster than any other, with energy weapons capable of disorienting ships instantly. Most cadets froze at the sight, their ships trembling. Aaron's heart raced, but his mind was sharp. We can do this, he said firmly. Stick together, observe its patterns, we can outsmart it. The group approached cautiously, studying the drone's movements. Unlike previous drones, this one adapted quickly, forcing cadets to react constantly. But Aaron noticed a subtle rhythm, moments of vulnerability after each attack. He calculated the timing precisely and guided the cadets to strike in coordination. Now, everyone attack when it moves left, he commanded. The cadets followed. Their combined actions, coordinated by observation and instinct, caused the massive drone to falter. It staggered, then dissolved into harmless holographic particles. The hall fell silent for a moment, only the hum of the simulation remaining. Lyra exhaled slowly, her expression unchanging but her mind racing. She had never witnessed a cadet lead so effectively, survive so intelligently, and inspire others in a test designed for failure. Impossible, she whispered. How can one human do this? Aaron floated in his ship, heart pounding but calm. He looked at the other cadets, exhausted but exhilarated. They had survived one of the most dangerous waves the simulation had ever produced. They had not only survived, they had thrived. For the first time in the Academy's history, a glimmer of hope existed. A single cadet had shown that human intuition, creativity, and courage could overcome even the most advanced artificial challenges. Aaron knew the simulation was far from over. But he also knew something vital. Humans could achieve what machines and even instructors considered impossible. As the next wave approached, brighter, faster, and more dangerous than ever, Aaron gripped the controls and prepared. He was ready to lead, to inspire, and to prove that the human spirit could shine even in the face of impossible odds. The zero-fail simulation was testing them all, but Aaron and his group were beginning to show that humans were far more than the sum of their limits. The simulation hall had changed completely. Lights flickered violently, casting long shadows across the metal walls. Gravity shifted without warning, sometimes pulling cadets down, sometimes throwing them sideways. Holographic drones swarmed like a living storm, faster and more aggressive than anything the cadets had faced before. The zero-fail simulation had reached its peak. Aaron Vale tightened his grip on the controls, feeling the tension in the air. His ship rocked violently as a cluster of drones attacked from multiple angles. Around him, the cadets he had been guiding struggled to maintain control, some trembling with exhaustion, others narrowly avoiding collisions. Stay focused. Watch the patterns. Trust each other, Aaron shouted over the comms. His voice was steady, a calm beacon in the chaos. Even the most panicked cadets slowed their racing thoughts and listened. They followed his lead, weaving through the drones with a precision that surprised even him. Lyra Soren observed from the deck above, her usual cold expression now mixed with something she rarely felt. Astonishment. Cadets had survived the earlier waves, yes, but this was beyond anything she had ever seen. One cadet was leading others through impossible maneuvers, reacting with speed, creativity, and intuition that no AI could predict. The AI introduced a new obstacle. A field of energy walls that appeared and disappeared unpredictably. They twisted, turned, and sometimes formed sudden barriers across the cadets' paths. Ships that collided were instantly disabled, removed from the simulation. Many cadets froze, unsure how to proceed. Aaron studied the walls carefully. He noticed a faint shimmer that hinted at the wall's movements. It was subtle, something a machine could not see unless programmed. But human perception was different. He quickly calculated a path and signaled to the other cadets. "Follow me. Keep close. Watch the shimmer," he instructed. One by one, the cadets adjusted their paths, moving with newfound confidence. They began to rely on instinct as much as instructions, learning from Arin's calm and keen observation. Together, they navigated the labyrinth of walls, dodging the hazards with skill that bordered on instinctive coordination. Then came the final drone. A massive, AI-controlled combat ship, with energy cannons capable of disabling multiple cadets at once. Its holographic form was dazzling, and its speed was terrifying. Most cadets panicked, trying to scatter, but Arin stayed steady. "This is it," he said softly, more to himself than anyone else. "Focus. Work together. We can outthink it." He analyzed the drone's movement patterns. It attacked in repeated sequences but with minor variations. If they could predict its next move and coordinate a strike at the right moment, they could neutralize it. "Cadets, stay tight, observe, don't react. When it moves left, follow my lead." The group moved as one. Aaron's ship darted through the storm of attacks, leading the other cadets along the optimal path. Each of them anticipated his movements, adjusting their course instantly. The massive drone fired energy blasts, but the cadets dodged with precision, their trust in Aaron guiding their actions. "Now, fire at the left flank," Aaron commanded. The cadets responded immediately. Their combined attacks, coordinated perfectly, caused the drone to falter. Sparks flew from its holographic frame as it staggered, unable to adjust quickly enough to counter the human strategy. Slowly, it began to break apart, dissolving into harmless particles. A collective cheer erupted in the comms, even from cadets who were exhausted and frightened moments before. They had done it, they had survived the ultimate challenge. Lyra Soren stared at the display in shock. She had trained hundreds of cadets, and all had failed. Yet here was one cadet, not only surviving but leading others to do the impossible. Her eyes, sharp and calculating, betrayed a rare emotion: respect. Aaron floated in his ship, heart pounding but calm. He looked at the other cadets. Exhausted, sweaty, but smiling. "We did it," he said, voice steady. "Together, we can do anything." But the simulation was not finished. The AI created a final test. A holographic asteroid approaching at high speed, designed to test split-second decision-making and teamwork. It was massive, and if they failed, the group would be destroyed. Most cadets panicked, but Aaron's eyes narrowed. "Listen carefully. We need to work as one. I'll guide us through." He studied the asteroid's trajectory. It would collide with them in seconds, leaving no time for error. Aaron calculated an escape route, signaling directions to the cadets while simultaneously controlling his own ship. His movements were precise, anticipating changes in gravity, momentum, and obstacles. The cadets followed him without hesitation. They moved through the shrinking gaps between smaller asteroids, weaving around debris and avoiding energy surges. The massive asteroid loomed closer, but their coordinated effort allowed them to dodge it entirely, passing through with mere seconds to spare. Silence fell over the comms. The hall, which had been alive with flashing lights and alarms, now seemed almost peaceful. Every cadet ship floated steady, undamaged. They had survived the impossible. Lyra's voice finally broke the silence, soft but carrying over the hall. Cadet Aaron Vale. You have done what no cadet has ever done. Not only did you survive, but you led others to survive with you. This is extraordinary. Aaron exhaled, his body relaxing for the first time since the simulation began. He looked at the other cadets, pride shining in his eyes. We trusted each other, he said. We used our heads, stayed calm, and didn't give up. That's how humans can succeed, even when everything seems impossible. For a moment, Lyra remained silent, studying the display. Then, in a rare act, she took a marker and wrote Aaron's name on the warning board. In the academy, the warning board was usually a place for cadets who had failed or caused serious mistakes. But now, it held a name that symbolized the impossible achieved. Aaron's heart skipped a beat as he saw it. This simple act, rare and symbolic, meant more than medals or rankings. It was recognition that humans could defy expectations, overcome designed impossibilities, and lead with courage. Other cadets gathered around, their faces glowing with excitement. They had learned something more valuable than surviving a simulation. They had learned the power of trust, courage, and human ingenuity. And it was Aaron who had taught them, not through commands alone, but through example. Lyra Soren, observing quietly, realized something she had long ignored. Humans had qualities that no machine could replicate: intuition, creativity, teamwork, and courage. And when those qualities combined, no obstacle, no matter how impossible, could stop them. The zero-fail simulation had ended, and for the first time, humanity had proven itself against an impossible challenge. Aaron had not only survived, he had rewritten the rules, showing the Academy what humans were truly capable of. The simulation hall had quieted. The flashing alarms silenced. The drones and obstacles dissolved into harmless holograms. Cadets floated in their ships, breathing heavily, sweat gleaming on their faces. They had just survived the impossible, the zero-fail simulation. And it was all because of one cadet, Aaron Vale. Aaron slowly unstrapped himself from his ship, feeling a mix of exhaustion and relief. Around him, cadets exchanged excited words, their voices a blend of awe, pride, and disbelief. They had faced what everyone said was unbeatable. And not only had they survived, they had learned to work as a team under extreme pressure. Lyra Soren stepped forward from the observation deck. Her expression, usually stern and unreadable, softened slightly. She held a small tablet showing the final results of the simulation. She tapped it once, and the statistics appeared in the air. Precision, efficiency, leadership, and survival rates all unprecedented. Cadets, she began, her voice calm but carrying weight. Today you have all faced a test no one has ever passed. Yet one among you has shown not just skill, but leadership, ingenuity, and courage. Cadet Aaron Vale. You have redefined what humans are capable of. You have passed the zero-fail simulation. A murmur ran through the cadets. Some gasped in surprise, others cheered quietly. They all knew the significance. No cadet had ever passed this test. It was meant to be impossible. And now, one human had not only survived but thrived, and inspired others along the way. Aaron stepped forward, his voice steady but humble. We all did this together. I didn't do it alone. Each of you trusted your instincts, listened, and adapted. That's why we succeeded. Humans can do amazing things when we work together and believe in each other. Lyra's gray eyes studied him, seeing something rare. Confidence without arrogance, courage without recklessness. She nodded slowly, then took out a marker and wrote Aaron Vale on the Academy's warning board. The board had always been a symbol of failure, but today it became a symbol of achievement, the impossible achieved through human determination. The other cadets gathered around, some clapping, others smiling widely. Many looked at Aaron with newfound respect. "I can't believe we survived that," said Jara, one of the cadets he had guided. "I never thought I'd make it through the last wave." Aaron smiled. "You made it because you trusted yourselves. That's what makes humans special. We can think, adapt, and care for each other in ways no machine can predict." The Academy staff began to record the results. Lyra stood silently for a moment, reflecting on the significance of what had just happened. She had spent decades training cadets, believing in strict discipline and perfect execution. But she realized something important. Discipline and training were crucial, but they could never replace intuition, creativity, and courage. Humans had an edge that machines could never match. News of Aaron's achievement spread quickly through the Academy. Holo broadcasts displayed his name and the story of the simulation. Cadets from other classes, past and future, studied the footage. They watched as one small cadet led others through impossible challenges, demonstrating ingenuity, calmness under pressure, and leadership. Aaron's example began to change the Academy's culture. Cadets learned that fear could be overcome, that obstacles could be met with creativity, and that working together made humans stronger than any machine could predict. The zero-fail simulation was no longer just a test, it became a lesson in human potential. In the days following the simulation, Aaron was called to meet with senior instructors, including Lyra. She handed him a certificate, formally recognizing his unprecedented achievement. "Cadet Vale," she said, her voice steady. "You have done what no human has ever done. You have not only passed the impossible, you have taught others to rise above it. The Academy will remember this day for generations." Aaron bowed slightly, feeling pride but also humility. "Thank you, ma'am. I couldn't have done it without my fellow cadets. We all contributed. That's the point, humans are strongest when we work together." Lyra nodded, a rare smile touching her lips. "Perhaps I've underestimated humans before. Today, I've learned that determination, creativity, and courage can achieve what strict rules and machines cannot." The cadets returned to their dormitories, still buzzing with excitement. Some replayed the simulation in their minds, thinking of ways they could improve. Others simply smiled, proud of what they had survived. For many, the experience would stay with them forever, a reminder that humans could surpass even the most impossible challenges. Aaron sat quietly in his dorm, reflecting on the events. He thought about the fear, the danger, and the chaos, but also about the teamwork and ingenuity that had allowed them to succeed. He realized that passing the zero-fail simulation was not just about skill, it was about belief. Belief in oneself, in others, and in the potential of humanity. The warning board in the Academy Hall now bore his name. Cadets would pass by it for years, reading, "Aaron Vale passed the impossible." It was more than a record of success. It was a symbol of hope, inspiration, and the extraordinary capabilities of humans. Over time, Aaron's achievement influenced the training methods of the Academy. Instructors began incorporating more lessons that encouraged creativity, teamwork, and intuition. The AI simulations were still difficult, still designed to challenge cadets to their limits, but now they were a tool to nurture human potential, not just a test of survival. Aaron continued his training, not as a regular cadet, but as a symbol of human achievement. He became a mentor for new cadets, sharing lessons learned from the zero-fail simulation. He taught them that courage, careful observation, and trust in each other were as important as skill and knowledge. Years later, when new cadets asked about the zero-fail simulation, instructors told the story of Aaron Vale, the cadet who had passed the impossible. They spoke of how he led others, inspired teamwork, and demonstrated that humans had a spark no machine could replicate. Young cadets dreamed of following in his footsteps, striving to reach the same level of courage and ingenuity. Aaron stood on the observation deck of the academy one evening, looking out at the stars. The Earth and Mars glimmered in the distance, a reminder of the human spirit that stretched beyond worlds. He smiled, knowing that the zero-fail simulation had not just tested humans, it had shown what humans could achieve. And in that moment, Aaron realized something powerful. The true test of humanity was not survival, not skill, and not even victory. The true test was the ability to rise above fear, to trust each other, and to reach beyond limits, no matter how impossible they seemed. The story of Aaron Vale and the zero-fail simulation became a legend, passed from cadet to cadet, a testament to human potential, courage, and teamwork. It proved that humans, even in the most impossible situations, could achieve greatness when they trusted themselves and each other. The warning board, once a symbol of failure, now stood as a beacon of hope, a reminder that the impossible was never truly impossible for humans. And so, the legacy of the test lived on, inspiring generations of cadets to believe in the extraordinary power of humanity.